Welcome back to Drop a Line. It's been a while since we were here. I am your host, Alec. It is great to see you all, and this is our show. Yes, sir. We are live with Mr. David Rosenblum. Am I pronouncing that correctly? All right. It's great to see you, sir. How are you doing this evening? I am doing great. You know, I am laid off from work at this approximate moment. So I go back on Tuesday. So I'm really excited about that. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait. So it's really great to see you. You've been a supporter for a long time on the show, and you've seen a lot of our episodes. And what's this? We got no sound from David. Oh, hold on one second. Let's unmute. Stand by, everybody. We have a brief technical issue. Can you unmute your mic on the little window on StreamYard? There you go. Can you do a quick test for us?
Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear him, Andrew? All right, clear. We hear you clearly. All right, perfect. All right. So how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. Excited for the interview, and thanks for having me on the show.
It's great to have you, and thank you for supporting the show as often as you have. So for those of you who don't know, David is an author, and he is the author of something called Demented Tales. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what Demented Tales is all about?
Yeah. I mean, here's an actual copy of the book.
Awesome.
It obviously I have a couple back behind me too, just staged in the area. But yeah, it's a short collection of stories. It was my first book that I put out. Did all the work myself. Obviously, other than editing, because you got to send it off and clean it up. The other part was the graphic designer. She's in the Midwest, and it was beautiful putting it together. So I have about 145 short stories now, and every single one is 1 to 5 pages. So they're all flash fiction, but in the cover, I always put little tidbits. So like, if you can see, oops, sorry. Hank is a chicken farmer, and he is sorry, my wife was showing me something.
It's all right.
That's a story for the second volume, and same with the back of the cover. And it's a shark in the corner, and then me chilling on the beach, and then there's a radioactive snake.
Can you see an Instagram thing over here?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Can you show the cover to the Instagram people? It was a little.
Yeah. Sorry.
There you go. There it is. Awesome. So thank you very much to everybody who is joining us for mine and David's interview. Thank you for joining us on Facebook. Thank you for joining us on Instagram. It's great to see everybody. A lot of guests have been here. A lot of upcoming guests are here. And we are also running the show on One True Promotions YouTube and Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, please do subscribe to One True Promotion, and you might just be the first to get your to toss your name in for the next Drop a Line. So, David, I'm really impressed with the work you've created. I love the cover. I love the artwork. I absolutely adore just the title. It's such a gripping title. It's exactly my kind of thing that I love to read. My question is, when was this whole thing first conceived in your mind? And would tell us a little bit about that story.
So it's been a while coming. It's probably 5-7 years in the making. I've always just kind of written to kind of get away from daily life, and if you have a bad work day, then I just kind of vented by writing or creating stories, and most of the time maiming them or killing them or doing drastic things to them. But it's just therapeutic to me.
Absolutely.
And it's slowly bit by bit cleaning up. And it's funny, I go back and I see some of my original writing, and it's god awful. But you got to start from somewhere, and it's been a fun process. And I mean, it's putting out a book. It is quite a task. You really don't realize how much is into it. So
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. When I put out my first book, it was something I really wasn't prepared for, and I was gung ho about doing it, and I was gung ho about getting the cover done and all this stuff. But really, it was quite a process. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how you assembled your team? I think it's so impressive. You have a team of people working with you.
So for me, I network and just kind of, just put out flutters out there, like for graphic designer that put together this cover. It was the first cover she's ever done. So she does a lot of different artwork and a lot of different things like back in the 90s, CD covers and other things. So it was great interacting with her. And, because of COVID, obviously, also that was another whole thing. Everything was just online and through chats and different things like that. But yeah, just interacting with people, trying to figure out, what they like. And then the editor writes romance of all things. So she's like, yeah, I definitely want something a little different. And she enjoyed it. So she's actually also from Jersey as well. So it worked out. I had no idea. But it was great. So, and then a couple of reviews, 2 or 3 times between, first I had like an Irish hat like this on, and I was like, you know what, just make it a little more gorier, a little more blood. So then we ended up adding the hat, or taking off the hat, adding the axe, and then exposed brains. Because I mean, I envisioned you walk into Barnes and Noble, your local bookstore, and then you want something that pops, or what the hell is this?
Absolutely. Well, that's what I love so much about your cover and your title, is that it really does pop and it really does grab my attention. And I'm curious, what was, do you have any inspirations for how you did your cover or your title? Like, when was the first time you were grabbed by a book cover or DVD cover that you saw?
I mean, I'd probably go back to the 90s and Scream, between just, Ghostface and seeing that in the opening scene with Drew Barrymore running away, that's probably the beginning of it. But then just, I would say just other random things, I love the beach. I love nature, but in the same sense, like, I write pretty horrid and horrific stuff. So it's the best of both worlds,
Mm-hmm. Well, my favorite thing is happening right now. We are starting to get audience questions, and that is the best part of Drop a Line.
Yeah.
At the moment, awesome. They are coming from Instagram. We have a comment from Christine. Thank you for coming, Christine. She says, yes, book covers are what attracts first, and this is a dope cover. I could not agree more. And then we have Ime on. Thank you, Ime. Ime is asking, what was the experience like of having someone who focuses on a different genre as a primary editor? Good question.
That's a great question. It was a little challenging at first because looking through her past artwork and what she did, it was a little challenging, but it was great because pretty much just I explained what I wanted, and then sorry, my dog wants a little attention. It was great because I rolled through what work she's done and then gave her a clear image of what I wanted. And then it probably took 30 or 40, it took, 30 to 40 revisions and just, little things here and there. Originally I didn't have sunglasses, but most of the time I'm in, the cheap fake $10 ones that if they break, I don't care. So it was just like, and it was the minute details. So like also like, originally I just had a little blood trickling, but then I wanted the whole book to be pretty much like blood inspired. So, and then like I said before, at the very beginning, adding the little nuances and little additives like Hank the Axe. It's a chicken farmer that's going to be in Demented Tales 2, The Gore Continues. So I'm, adding these tiny little pointers and then trying to create like, a following. That's essentially what you want. So But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It was challenging at first, but with good communication and then being able to explain exactly what I want. And then there was a couple things that she did, and I didn't like it, and just had to be really honest with her. It sucked, and there was some uh, bad communications, but it was okay. We worked out at the end, and then the finalized product was amazing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And that really is the thing you run into when you're working with somebody, is how communication is sent and how something is received. And ultimately, just trying to kind of get on the same page of this stuff we're making up in our heads, it's surprisingly hard to communicate that sometimes.
It is. And, and the other thing is you got the human, emotional, human value too. Like, you don't want to say something that would offend them. And I'm not going to say it looks like shit, but I don't like that. Can we start from scratch? So that's not what I wanted. And a couple times I had to say that, and it's just like, oh, I'll take offense. I'm just an artist too, and you want what you want. You're paying me money, so
right. Absolutely. Yep. And that has to be said sometimes. This is a great interview so far. I'm having a great time. I'm so glad you're here. But I would really love to play a promo real quick while folks are early into watching. We have a big show coming up on February 2nd. It is called Live Readings. And if you are out there and you want to submit your work to Live Readings, you can do so by January 18th. And you can have it live read by myself and others at One True Promotion. This is Live Readings. And we are back. I'm sorry, what was it? What did you say, Dave?
My wife's on as well, but hers is muted.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm not sure why that was, but we're good. So yeah, thank you all for coming to Drop a Line. Thank you all for watching the show. We love when you ask questions. If you are watching and you have a question for David or you have a question for me, please leave them in the comment section and we will answer them. If you are watching on Facebook, you may leave us a question. If you are watching on Instagram, you may leave us a question. And if you are watching on YouTube or Twitch on One True Promotion, please do like and subscribe. So David, I'm curious, what would you say? Hey, BB, what's up? What would you say has been the most difficult part of marketing your book?
For marketing, I mean, I'm pretty outgoing and almost, not that I don't care what people think, but more just, I put out pretty much what it is, so if I put too many posts out there, it is what it is. People see them and they'll care about them or they won't, I remember last week you were talking about, one post a day. And then sometimes that's daunting and challenging. I forgot who mentioned that. I don't know if it was the author herself or if it was one of the commenters. But
maybe it was both.
I mean, okay. For me, I mean, I pretty much can talk to anybody, so it doesn't really matter. And then I like throwing those polls out there, like different questions. Ask me a question. It's all interactive for me while I'm trying to get a following and get a baseline of different people. But in the same sense, like I don't know if you saw. I guess, I was looking for some reviews, so I put out there, if anybody has read it, can you put it up? So I got a review on Amazon. The book was great. The artwork was great, but the book was torn. So, she sends a picture of it. I mean, obviously this is Amazon. I had nothing to do with printing of the book or whatnot. So we joked around. It was a slasher edition, and you literally see like a cut. And I just, I had an extra copy, so I sent it off to her today. But it's been fun, for marketing. I mean, even random things like I found for my Kindle. My opening story is the stag, and it's literally a hunter with cancer going against a stag. So I found a Kindle cover, and then I bought that, so I use that as a promo. It's just sometimes thinking outside the box. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Absolutely. And that's such a great skill to have, just the whole personality that you bring to it, where you're outgoing, you want to meet people, you want to show them what you've got. That really, I think, gives you a leg up, because for some of us, I can speak from some experience, it's not even just the challenge of learning how to do good marketing. It's working up the courage to do so on a regular basis and get out of your, kind of your private comfort zone and have your camera following you around everywhere, like it really is amazing that those skills come so naturally to you.
Well, and it's also very personal too. Like, I spent, you can't even count how many hours on this project, sitting down, typing away, thinking about what's going on. But in the same sense, like, once you have the finalized product and it's out there and people have read it, it's pretty cool. Somebody's seeing you and be like, well, you're an author now. And then can I have a signed book? So in that sense, it's worth it.
Absolutely. And I agree. It is so worth it. We have some comments coming in. Instagram is just lit up tonight. I love it. Christine says, I think that you should do all you can to get your work out there. Every day, find something new. Yes. Nicolette says, polls are such a good way to get engagement. Love them. Yeah, I haven't done much polls. Have you done polls, Dave?
I have. I try to do it every once in a while. Sometimes it'll just be a question, and then I'll put yes or no. Other times, like earlier behind me, like in the middle of the shelf was my lamp, and I sent a picture to some of my friends. They're like, remove the dunce cap. What are you doing? So it wasn't the Irish hat. It was my lamp that looked like a so it's, but the whole vibe and everything hanging, it's pretty cool. But I would definitely try to do the polls, because like I got somebody from Iceland, which I never would have thought.
That's
somebody
awesome.
from Iceland is, so I interacted with them, and it's really cool,
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget when we had Ivy on Drop a Line. That was over a year ago now, in November of 2019. We had, she was our very first guest on this show from overseas. She was in London, originally from Malaysia. And that was just amazing. Like, that was a moment where this community just started to explode. Yeah. And it really is crazy when that feeling you get when you reach somebody across the world, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is. And like, because you also do, between the time difference and different, everything that's going on, especially in the world now, it really is mind-boggling. Also experiences. There's one girl that always puts like the life of her dog, and there's like 3 or 4 pictures or videos a day, and it loves getting in mud. So it's always fun watching that. And then I actually created like a parasite getting inside the dog from the mud, and I sent it to her, and she's horrified by it, but she's like, well, no, if you want to include it in the next volume, go ahead.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And I love the way, you can get inspiration from the smallest things. That's such a stimulating thing, when just sort of this very pedestrian image can just suddenly set something off in your mind and grow into like this unique and magnificent and twisted piece of art, Yeah,
no, it's it still baffles me how I can turn it, because like I always love sunsets, love sunrises. Whenever I can, I'll go watch one. But all the while, I'm thinking of different writing things, and because I'm so close to the ocean, different sea creatures and other things like that. So it and speaking of polls and other things, I did put up one thing like, all right, so all the books behind me, when I start a writing sprint or start writing, I'll just grab 1 or 2, go to a random page, read a couple paragraphs, and then start going from something from that. So I put up, can you give me 2 words, and then I'll start a story from that. And that was a good little inspiration as well. So it's mind-boggling where it goes from, say a tree and a squirrel, and then where I'm going from that. But I always end up twisting it or making it kind of bloody.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that you do what you're good at too. That's the key. We have some more comments I've been ignoring, so sorry about that. Christine says, I always say it's possible, and somehow that helps to get an idea. I like that. That's a good mantra to go forward with. It's not easy, but there are a lot of people on Instagram that are looking for great reads. It's all about interaction. Yes. And she says, David's got this. He does got this. This guy's a pro. It's great to have him tonight. I'm enjoying this. What we got here? Ime says, are there any changes you want to make in your writing, publishing, or marketing process as you work on your next book? Ime with the questions. Love it.
That is a brilliant question. So for the next book, it's going to be about the same thing, a small collection of stories, um, but I'm using the same people, the same editor and the same graphic designer. So I'm kind of keep it close to the chest. They know what I expect, how I want it, and they understand. Especially for the writing, like I want short, succinct, short paragraphs, short sentences. I mean, I pretty much put as less as I can in there, allowing the reader to kind of make up whatever they want in their head.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, but in one sense, I always break the rule: show, don't tell. I'll always tell. All right, so this is the way the blood's dripping.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a little different because it's the second round, so I kind of know what I'm doing versus the first time you're so confused, you have no idea what's going on. It's so many tiny, minute details. I mean, you can try to figure out what is going on for the first time, but there's so many tiny little things. Like even like the title. The title's way too far up on the cover, so next time I dropped it down so that it wouldn't be cut off, because it took me probably about a week and 10 or 12 different editions, and that's me cleaning up the cover so that Amazon can approve it, so that I can start selling hard copies or paperback copies. So it's a lot, but then also for marketing, the marketing process, I'll probably do the same thing. I mean, it's personalized, so anybody that wants to talk to me, I'll talk to them. It also gives me writing ideas. One girl writes romance, which I still haven't read yet, and I'm 36. Mm-hmm. But I will read it just to see what else is out there and what it'll give me.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's how I'd answer that. Is pretty much the same, except for a little minor tweaks that I know of now from the first time doing it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Boy, we know Andrew's watching the show behind the scenes. We know how it is with the titles on the books, right, Andrew? Don't we, buddy? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now he's typing a comment. Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, Andrew and I are going to hire Dave next time to get us out of the woods. Let me tell you.
It was so frustrating. It was beyond frustrating. So.
Listen, when you were going through that beyond frustrating process, I was just impressed. You said you fixed it in a week.
Yeah,
that's a leg up on the two of us. Let me tell you. Christine is asking, are you also doing global distribution on other platforms? Great question. Love it.
I actually haven't done that yet, just because it was my first foray into marketing as well as becoming an author. So I definitely want to do that. When I released the book, I did release it to all different avenues on Amazon. So I did get a couple kickbacks in Australia and one in China, and then a couple I forgot what part of Europe. So I'm going to try to do more for the second book and maybe get a little more. I really haven't done too much research on the global aspect, so I don't know. I don't know the true answer to that question, so I'll just say that. Mm-hmm. more research to be done.
We're all still learning, That's how I would answer it as well. I'm not quite sure of that myself, but we will find out probably by the end of the year, knowing us, right? We're determined people.
Yep, definitely.
And that's why I love this show, because we can get together and talk about this stuff, and we can do it before a live audience that might be able to take a good snippet away from this stuff, Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, I thought about it, and I'm obviously going to do a lot of research now and try to figure out, especially with the second one coming through. But even that, I think you should. Instagram Spark, so I can help you with that. So even that, Spark. So I've done a little research on that. But
and it actually, Andrew pointed out to me, and I had slipped my mind, but Amazon does offer global distribution, even when you set it up through Kindle Direct Publishing. There are just different ways in which you market to each area. That's Andrew saying. Andrew is my marketing guy, so he's a good person to ask these questions. He safeguards the show, works behind the scenes. Andrew, we love you. We can't wait till you're a guest on the show again. Now, I was about to ask you a question, David, but this hasn't happened in a couple of weeks, but it used to happen routinely. I have lost my train of thought. So I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you have a question for me or for the audience?
I would just say, from the people that are on here that have read my work, what do you like about it and what don't you like? And then just leave it in the comments and be brutally honest.
There you go. There you go. Very good. So we got a comment from Andrew and a question from Ime. Andrew says he took a course on Amazon marketing, and that was a huge debate in the class. That sounds very interesting. I'd love to pick his brain about that. And Ime is asking, any plans for a novel, or do you see yourself sticking to short stories and flash fiction?
So definitely a novel. I have 150 pages right now. So it's definitely a novel, and it's literally a serial killer starting in Cape May, going up to Sandy Hook. It needs work, but I don't know if you heard or you mentioned, I already do have 145 short stories. So and this will go back to the marketing, is that I'm going to try to put out a book every 3 to 4 months with the stuff that I have, and then end up having a whole collection of Demented Tales, different volumes. And then when I do get to, my goal is 50 total stories, and then it'll be a complete volume, and then it'll be a nice thick book, and go from there. So I'm going to stick with the short stories, because also a lot of people don't read that much still. I mean, it is what it is, so you want to kind of capture their attention really quickly, and then go from there, so I'll stick with my guns, which are short stories and flash fiction. But I do have that novel in the works, and I'm hoping, by summertime to finish that work in process, and then maybe by my birthday, September, put out my first novel. So.
Awesome. Well, we wish you the best with that, and we here at One True Promotion would love to help you with that any way that we can. Andrew is asking, what is your advice on short story writing? And I should add to his question that both Andrew and I have been struggling to get at, well, actually, Andrew's had great success. What am I talking about? But I've been struggling to break away from novels and get into some short story writing. So I would double his question. We both want to know.
Okay. Gotcha. For me, I mean, I'm lucky that I pretty much just almost like the start of a Criminal Minds or SVU episode, just go full bore with, all right, this is what's going on, and, what's happening to the character, and then just kind of get into it. It's funny, but don't do a backstory. Just put them in the sense, and then go from there. And then probably by word 500, you'll figure out the backstory either in your head or it comes out with the writing. And that's my advice for short story writing. I mean, I'm fortunate. Like before, I put 2 words together and then create a story out of it. So I don't have any problem with that. But it's just pretty much, get into screw it down, get conflict, get, some sort of whatever the character is going through, and try to give them a way out, and then go from there. That's what I do.
That's great advice. I love that advice. And I should tell you, a little peek behind the curtain. So my first book is Barker's Rules, and that is a thriller novel about the serial killer Justin Barker, who is a Meridian killer. And I was writing a short fiction saga about more of the Meridian killers recently, and I was trying to get some of that going. And I started a story, and it had a conflict, and it had a main character, and it had all of this stuff going for it. But then I started going into backstory, and I actually completely lost the story and wasn't able to continue for a while. So I find that advice very interesting that you gave, because for me, it completely shut the story down when I tried to go back and do this novel-esque sort of routine of diving into the character's past.
No, that's true, because you sometimes try to do too much and figure out exactly, okay, this is why, I'll use I don't know, somebody blew out their knee, and that's why they're walking with a limp, You don't need that backstory. the guy walks with a limp and go from there. You know,
Mhm.
so,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's usually what I do, but
Mm. And
that's
Ime
true.
says,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead.
I was going to say that Best American Short Stories, it is a great collection, and every year I try to pick it up or at least read a couple from it. So I think I have Norton's right behind me. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good collection.
Ime was recently a guest on Drop a Line, and he has the world's best anthology of writing resources. So he was
Okay.
fun to have him on and go through all that stuff in one place. It was fun. And
That's
thank
awesome.
you,
I'll definitely
Nicolette, for pointing out that I'm echoing. I'm going to lower my voice a little bit to hope that it stops, but otherwise we will continue. David, I actually have a question for you. I am setting up a novel release for the end of the year, December 5th. It is called The Calipar, and it is the beginning of the novel series I've always wanted to write, and it's all about a demon slayer fighting with some demons. Now, I'm not going to say that it's blood and gore per se, but it is gritty. It gets into the nitty-gritty of the moment that you just go head-to-head with a vicious beast and all the physical sensations you're feeling. And I find that stuff very interesting, and I really try to immerse the reader in the moment by moment adrenaline of what's happening to the main character. And something you said earlier made me want to ask you, do you have any advice for me on that, on making that engaging?
Sorry, the last part, any advice on what?
On making that engaging and
okay.
compelling?
I mean, we all write from pretty much our heart and what our bones are and how we enjoy doing it. So like you were describing the physical aspect, I mean, you already have everything in your head, you know how it's going to kind of go through. And then sometimes it's either editing it and cleaning it up and even changing like the sequence. So one of my stories, which I'll dub the love story, is called Pain. I get struck by lightning trying to get the first kiss on a rowboat. Anyways, at the very beginning, I started with, the barista, gave a latte, the fingers touched lightly. And that was like after the traumatic experience. So it was brilliant. The editor pretty much just totally removed everything from that. And then it was just, okay, they're on the rowboat. And you don't need that backstory. So when you're getting into it, and I know December, it'll come quick, man. It's crazy, but just keep plugging away and then trying to do it either scene by scene or just try to figure out, how everything is going to happen. Like for me, I don't outline. A lot of people do. I just type away, and then at the end of my session, I'll go back and look at it. I'm like, all right, this doesn't make any sense. I'll remove it and then insert what should have been there. But that's the way my mind works. Everybody else is different. So one of my followers gave me an outline on one of my stories, and they're like, well, this could have happened and this could have happened. And I'm like, well, this is what happened. And that's the way I went with it,
Really?
But I appreciate it, So,
well, I was going to say that you certainly got a lot of investment from that fan.
Yeah, no, I got lucky, and that's actually the werewolf story, the last one that I have, and then I've elongated it to almost 40 pages. So not to say it's going to be a short story. It could end up being turned into a novella, but a lot of these stories I can compound and make them longer, and then different settings. So like a couple of them, I have taken what's happened in the story and then added to it and then created an elongated version that may or may not even come out, So
Absolutely. And Nicolette says they were invested enough to have an opinion. It's great. I agree.
Yeah.
And opinions can be a lot to process, but if somebody is that immersed in your work that's their whole focus, that's a special thing.
Yeah, it's been great interacting, especially with the one that you said having an opinion. It helped out because I've created like maybe 10 extra stories out of different little comments that she's made or different things. So it's been great. I've enjoyed it.
That is awesome. So how best can we support you, Dave?
So for me, it's pretty simple. I mean, on Amazon, it's literally 2 clicks. Just put in Demented Tales, and then I'll pop up. I'm fortunate. I mean, I released it on Halloween, October 31st, and I think I have, you know, there's 5-star ratings. I got a couple reviews up there that were really helpful. But then really just go on Amazon, purchase my book, even a Kindle, or, if you guys are struggling or having problems, I'll definitely send you my work for free. At the end of the day, it is business. But all the stuff that we're going through between COVID and just everything in the world, if my writing can take you away from what you're going through, either personally or, struggling, then that would be helpful for me. It's not, money's not the end of the line, but yeah, just, you can support me with that. And then also interacting, like I said, I reach out, okay, before I had a dunce hat on with the lamp, like I want to do the best that I can, but I'm doing it for the first time myself too. I don't have a publicist. I don't have, all the other things that are happening. But no, it's been great, and I've enjoyed it. So thanks for having me on Drop the Line and having me interviewed.
Oh, please. It's an honor to have you, and you've brought such wisdom, and it's been an absolutely engaging conversation. So, and with that in mind, I would like to ask you, is there anything we didn't touch upon yet that you would like to touch upon?
I actually do want to go back to yours coming out December 5th.
Sure.
So I originally had a September deadline for this book, and I wasn't able to hit it just because of everything going on. But I would just say, try to spend an extra 15, 20, or 30 minutes a day so that you can hit that. Because I mean, there's so many things going on, but just try to hit that deadline.
Oh yeah.
And even if it's getting a cleaned up copy by September, that way you can look it over once or twice and get better readers and everything else. So.
Absolutely, that is actually the plan. We are. It's with my editor, who happens to be my fiance. So. And we're both kind of working through all the processes that we need to go through, with our work lives and our personal lives and all that stuff, and just getting it there as soon as possible. But that is the plan, and I'll take that to heart. We're definitely going to do beta readers for anybody who's listening. When the fall rolls around, we are definitely going to be doing beta readers for my upcoming release, The Children of Ark. All about a demon slayer and some big monsters, crazy stuff. They're currently being drawn by the amazing Cameron Coates, who couldn't be here tonight, but is the artist for the series. And we are very, very excited to give you some of the insane creations that are going to appear in this mythos. But thank you for the excellent advice. I absolutely am going to take that. Andrew says, I've been prepping for this for a few years in my head. Yes. Andrew has long supported this series, so he's getting increasingly excited as we get closer and closer. And I really am blessed to have a great team around me. That brings me right next to my next comment. I'm blessed to have such a support group, and my fiance, my editor, and in Andrew, my marketing guy, and in Cameron, my artist, and to everybody here on Drop a Line who's come together in this community and has just inspired me 10,000 times over. And you had mentioned you don't have a publicist. I'm no publicist, but One True Promotion is a growing community that promotes everybody in its community and is really establishing, I think, kind of a collective community of readers and promoters and reviewers. So please continue to engage with us. Let us know when you have something coming out. Send us graphics when you want us to put something up. We'll put it up. One True Promotion is all about growing this community, and we are so thrilled that you're a part of it. It's been great to have you tonight.
I appreciate it. And the whole indie community really is helpful, and they're very supportive. And I'm the same way. If I can do anything for you, even just throwing up a story or a tag or anything, So and then you can count me in for the reading. February 2nd. Even if I have to do a video, if I have to work, such as life.
Yep.
But then also, once you come out with it, I'd love to be a better reader too.
Awesome. It's thank you. I appreciate that. That's amazing. And to everybody listening, live readings is coming up. If you would like your work read by yours truly, or if you would like to join us live to do your own reading, you can submit by January 18th. We would love to feature your work. You can get up to a 10-minute segment. We absolutely want to include you in live readings, so let us know. Dave, we are about 5 minutes out from where we usually wrap up the show. So I'm going to put you on the spot now in case there's anything else you want to go over before you're on the spot.
I'll ask you a question.
Sure.
How did your writing start? Where did you get the itch?
My writing started when I was 15. I had always been watching TV, making up stories in my head, replaying scenes and changing the outcomes of what happened, all that stuff. I was always running around, my mind running wild. But around the age of 15, after I had finally started to take some more structured notes and outlines in my middle school years, I finally wrote my first book, and I realized that I wanted to be a writer. And I went to school. I went to college to study literature and creative writing. The Children of Arc, which is going to be released in December, came about because I love heroes, superheroes. I love the whole discussion about heroism and bravery and sacrifice, and just kind of getting into the real life scenarios of, what it means to risk your life for somebody else, and just all the inherent struggles that come with that, and the choices that people make. They have always been very thought-provoking topics to me. So I hope that this series will create engaging conversations about that, as well as, hitting you with these colorful, twisted, gruesome monsters and dark magic and all this stuff that is just so stimulating to my mind. A lot of that is coming together in this next book. My debut novel, Barker's Rules, which is out now, actually is the long result of a nightmare that I had when I was in college. And I tell you, I can never recall much about my dreams, but when I wake up remembering vivid scenes from one and still having the same emotions I did when I was sleeping, I have to write it down. Never has that happened that I haven't written it down somehow. So yeah, I was having this dream about working for a guy that had kidnapped a young child, and I was not happy about being unwittingly, privy to this incident. So I kind of wrote a story about, people who engage in those behaviors, and then this serial killer character came to mind, and then this protagonist came to mind, and it was all downhill from there for the characters, at least. So
yeah, no, that's awesome. That's really great. And once you put out your first one, then I've told it's easier. I kind of know what to do now. And if anybody listening or you guys need any help, just let me know. I'd love to help you walk through the process, because I had to reach out too. So I've been very fortunate with the indie community. But no, that's great, and I'm excited for your next book. That's always very interesting, because different arcs and how people respond to different things. That's always, doesn't matter what genre you're in. And but with the beasts and the monsters and everything else, that makes it even better. So that's very exciting for me.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll be happy to have you as a beta reader. And listen, it's just been great to talk to you. Guests come back on Drop a Line all the time. Repeated guests is a long established thing. So I hope you will join us again sometime, because it's just been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And finally, I'm going to put you on the spot. I've done this to people before. Would you like to read us a sample of your work?
Sure, obviously. And right back at you too. Thanks for having me. And I would love to come back on, and I will do the live reading.
Perfect.
Let's see. So I guess, sorry, just trying to pick which story I want to read.
It's all right. It's all right. While you're doing that, everybody, thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you for watching. Please support Dave. He is David Rosenblum, David Scott. David Scott with an extra T, 1984 on Instagram is where you can find him. Demented Tales is available on Amazon only. And the best way to support him is to buy his book, review his book, and just reach out and follow him and see what he's got going on. So,
all righty. Thank you for that. Yeah. And it's funny. So David Scott with the 3 T's came as a joke, because I wanted a little editor glitch. So,
I love it.
I might change it to like David Scott writer or something, but for now, I'll just leave it as that.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Right, so I'll just start with sorry, going to the right one. Here we go. And I'll start with The Stag. It's a short story, about a page. From the moment the deer entered the field, Paul could see the growth on its antlers. The stag was enormous, and with the rack, it was over 8 feet tall. The growth was a result of rubbing his antlers on the contaminated red pine. Sap bled, and when it contacted the calcified bone, the ashen color ignited the bloodstream, causing a visually stunning image that could be spotted for miles away. Paul froze. He knew the danger that accompanied such a hue. The fucking deer was huge. And the antlers, what was with the antlers? In his tree stand, Paul remained quiet. He had been there over 5 hours. He had urinated off the stand. The pungent aroma wafted almost 100 feet away, where he was sure the deer could smell the chemo medication in it. The stag lifted his huge head, and even in the waning winter sun, sighted the man in the tree. Crouching to almost a full bow, the deer slowly backed up, antlers grazing the grass. His nostrils flared, and he came flying like a thoroughbred around the clubhouse turn towards the wire. Magnificent in size and stature, the incredible speed of the huge animal veering toward Paul caused him to instinctively pull upwards and step back. As a result, he hit the trunk of the tree with enough force to expel. The putrid waft of soiled pants hit his own nostril. The chemo had caused a ruptured asshole, literally, and it no longer held his entrails. Seepage from the engorged behind spilled down the tree. The last image Paul saw was the stag moving slowly and silently, blending into the trees and disappearing such as a fart into the wind. However, Paul did not possess that ability anymore.
Nicely written. Nicely
So-
written. You are all about attention to detail. I love it. Love it.
So that's the stag, the first one in it, and yeah, it's been fun to put all these stories in my head and have them come out alive in paper form.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Alec, for having me. Thanks for dropping the line, and yeah, anybody that wants to interact with me, Facebook, Instagram, I'm all ears and love to interact with you.
And we loved having you, man. Do come again, and we would love to continue promoting you. And we will. And thank you so much for joining us on Drop a Line and for sharing your. I meant to say live readings. Thank you so much for joining us for next week and joining us on Drop a Line and sharing your work with us. It's been a great time, man. You take care of yourself, and we will see you next time. Everybody, I am Alec. This was David Scott. We are writers, and we'll look at Demented Tales one more time. I thought you were reaching for the book. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. There you go.
There you go. Yep. That is Demented Tales, and we will see you next time.
All right.
Take care of yourself, Dave. It's been great. Good night, everybody.